They say the eyes are the windows to the soul, but women, they look beyond the windows. They see the cracks in the glass, the silence behind the smile, the fire behind your gaze, and the weight you carry in your silence. Women don't just look, they feel, they absorb, they sense. And before a word leaves your mouth, before a touch is made, before your story even begins, they've already read the first page. Because a woman doesn't fall for surface. She falls for the frequency of your presence. She notices everything you try to hide. She notices everything you forget to say. She notices the soul print you leave behind in every room you walk in. So listen to me now. If you think you can impress her with shallow charm, rehearsed lines, or polished shoes, you are mistaken. Because her spirit is ancient. Her perception is sacred. Her awareness is divine. A woman notices what is invisible to the ordinary eye. She sees you spirit first, energy first, intention first. And that is why some men confuse her attention with affection, when really she's just watching, measuring, listening, not with her ears, but with her intuition. You think she's just sitting across from you sipping her coffee, but she's scanning your soul. She's looking for alignment. She's watching how your words match your actions. She's feeling the vibration of your presence. Because every woman, consciously or not, is drawn to what feels safe, what feels real, what feels truthful, what feels like God is somewhere inside you. And in that silence between the moment you walk in and the moment she decides if you're worth her heart, she has already noticed everything. Not everything you tried to show, but everything you couldn't hide. So ask yourself, what does your presence say before your mouth does? What do your eyes reveal before your story begins? What truth do you carry in your stillness that no suit or cologne can ever disguise as? Because the truth is this, you cannot fake energy. You cannot disguise emptiness. You cannot pretend to be whole. Not to a woman who is rooted in herself. Not to a woman who feels more than she hears. She won't be seduced by the size of your ambition, but by the depth of your awareness. She won't be impressed by how much you chase her, but by how still you can be in your own center. She won't remember the things you bought her. She'll remember how she felt when you looked at her without needing anything in return. A turn. So if you're trying to capture a woman's attention, especially a woman of depth, of strength, of intuition, don't try to be perfect. Just be present. Don't try to be someone. Be true. Don't rush to impress. To impress. Oh, down. In. Because she's already noticed the tone of your silence, the truth behind your laughter, the story in your stillness. And now, let's go even deeper. The things a woman notices first might not be what you expect, but they are what matter most. They are what reveal you. They are what tell her, without a word, if your energy is food or if your presence is poison. These next 5 things are what every woman of depth and discernment notices first. Before she falls, before she trusts, before she even smiles. Here are the 5 truths she notices before anything else. 1. Your eyes and what lives behind them. The eyes, they do not lie. They do not wear a mask. They do not rehearse. They reveal. Before you speak, before you move, before you try to impress her with words, she's already seen something in your eyes. And what she saw was either everything she could trust or everything she needed to run from. Because a woman doesn't look at your eyes just for beauty. She searches them for truth. She's not looking for color. She's looking for color. She's looking for character. What lives behind your eyes tells her more than your mouth ever could. It tells her about your pain, about your past, about your peace, or the lack of it. It tells her if you're present or pretending. If you're carrying love or lust. If you are looking at her or through her. Women are wired by intuition. And when she locks eyes with you, 1,000 signals fire through her nervous system. Is he safe? Is he grounded? Is he awake? Is he awake? Does he carry darkness and hide it with charm? Or does he carry light and protect it with silence? Because you can say the right words with your lips, but your eyes will still betray you. You can fake kindness in your tone, but your eyes will still whisper your hunger. Your eyes will still whisper your hunger, your anger, your emptiness. Your eyes are a portal, and a woman, especially a conscious one, will always see what's behind that portal. If there is still a boy inside you, afraid to be vulnerable, she will feel it. If there is a man who has faced his own demons, she will trust it. Stare, because the eyes reveal your relationship with your soul. They show how often you lie to yourself. They show if you're at war within or at peace. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She needs you to be real. And the first test of realness is the weight, the depth, the silence, and the stillness inside your eyes. She's not looking to be entertained. She's looking to be seen. And if your eyes carry presence instead of performance, you will be unforgettable. You want to know why some men get remembered and others forgotten? It's not the car, not the status, not the compliments. It's the look they gave her. That made her feel like time stopped, like she wasn't being judged, compared, or seduced. She was just being seen. Not for her body, not for her beauty, but for her being. And she will never forget a man who made her feel safe inside his gaze. So ask yourself, what lives behind your eyes? Pain, shame, hunger, or peace, truth, stillness, God. Or peace, truth, stillness. Because before she trusts your hand, before she trusts your words, before she trusts your presence, she will look into your eyes and ask herself one silent, sacred question. Can I rest here? And if the answer is yes, you don't need to say anything else. She's already seen everything she needed to see. Your energy, even in silence, before you speak a single word. Before you offer your name, before you smile, flirt, or try to be charming, she feels you, because energy doesn't need an introduction. It walks in before you do. It enters the room with your footsteps. It fills the space around your body, and it speaks louder than your voice ever could. Understand this. A woman of depth doesn't just listen to what you say. She listens to the vibration beneath it. She listens to your frequency. We say. She listens to the unspoken atmosphere you carry in your silence. And silence, my brother, silence is not empty. It is a language of its own. And it tells her everything she needs to know. She can feel the storm you haven't faced yet. She can feel the desperation you try to hide with humor. She can feel the loneliness, even when you're smiling. She can feel if you're at war with yourself, or if you've made peace with your soul. And no matter how good you are at pretending, you can't fake the current that runs through your being. Your energy is ancient. It's made of your wounds, your healing, your truth, your lies, your prayers, your shadows, your desires. It's what lingers when you leave the room. It's what she feels when you say nothing at all. She's not measuring your height. She's measuring your aura. She's not looking at your posture. She's sensing your presence. Are you grounded? Are you still inside? Do you feel like home? Do you feel like a storm? Because here's the secret. A woman will not give herself to a man whose energy feels like danger. Not the conscious woman whose energy feels like danger. Not the conscious woman. Not the woman who knows herself. Not the woman who's healed too much to be fooled again. She doesn't want chaos disguised as passion. She wants peace that radiates without effort. And your energy tells her what kind of man you are before your story ever begins. She'll know if you're used to leading with your heart, or if you've built your life running from it. She'll know if you've tasted your own darkness and turned it into light. She'll know if your stillness is sacred, or if it's just emptiness trying to be mysterious. You think she's just watching how you move, but she's feeling what you carry. She's feeling how you make her nervous system respond. Does she tighten up in your presence, or does she soften? That's what she notices. Not your money, not your muscles, not your Instagram feed. She notices whether your energy invites her soul to rest, or if it sets off alarms in her spirit, because a woman's body can't relax until her spirit feels safe. And her spirit feels safe. And her spirit listens to energy. So while you're out there trying to say the right thing, trying to look the part, trying to present the image of a high-value man, she's sitting there quietly asking herself, what does it feel like to be near him when he says nothing at all? Does he carry peace or pressure? Does his energy feel like an anchor or a weight? Because you may impress her with your performance, but she will only trust you if your energy feels like truth. So ask yourself, what kind of silence do I carry? Is it anxious or aligned? Is it hollow or holy? Is it hollow or holy? Because when a woman of depth sits across from you, you don't need to speak to tell her who you are. You already have, in your stillness, in your breath, in your being. Your energy whispered your truth before you ever said a word, and she heard every word of it, all without a single sound. Instead, how you make her feel in her feminine, a woman will always remember one thing above all, how she felt in your presence, not just emotionally, but energetically, not just intellectually, but spiritually. Not just in her mind, but deep, deep in her body, in the place where her softness lives, where her sacred feminine blooms. And this is where most men fail, because they try to impress her mind without ever touching her essence. They talk, brag, chase, flatter, but they forget she's not looking to be entertained. She's looking to be felt. A woman is not drawn to a man because of what he has. She is drawn to a man because of what she can become when she's around him. In here, me clearly now. A woman falls for the man who makes her feel more like a woman, not less. A man who opens the space for her softness, not one who mocks it. A man who celebrates her emotion, not one who rolls his eyes at it. A man who welcomes her flow, not one who tries to control or fix it. A woman is not weak, but she is made of water. She flows, she feels, she moves with rhythm. And when she's with a man who is fully rooted in his masculine, a safe, grounded, divine masculine, she can finally let go. She can finally surrender. She can finally surrender. She can finally breathe. But when she is around a man whose energy says, I've got you, her armor drops. Her heart opens, and her femininity awakens. This is not about domination. This is not about playing roles or power games. This is about polarity. It's about the sacred dance of energies. Masculine and feminine, stillness and flow, presence and expression, depth and emotion. She wants to feel held, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically. She wants to be able to cry and not feel crazy. She wants to be able to laugh and not feel judged. She wants to be able to speak her chaos without you trying to silence it or fix it. Because the feminine is not a puzzle to be solved. It's a force to be honored. And when she meets a man who honors her softness, she will rise like the moon. She will glow. She will pour. She will trust. So the real question isn't, can you impress her? It's can you make her feel safe enough to be fully herself? Can you create a space where her heart doesn't have to hide? Where her tenderness isn't punished but protected? Where her chaos isn't ridiculed but reverently received? Because when she feels safe in her feminine, she will give you a version of herself that no one else has ever touched. Not because you forced it, but because you earned it. She will soften into you. She will open to you. She will bring her storms, her magic, her light, her love, her tears. her laughter, her body, or her soul, but only if your presence says, you don't have to be hard with me. You don't have to fight here. You don't have to hide here. And that is the highest form of seduction. That is the power of true masculinity. That is when she not only wants to be near you, she wants to melt into you, not because of your looks, not because of your looks, not because of your status, but because in your presence, she feels free to be what she was always born to be. That is divine. Not because you made her, but because you made her feel safe enough to remember. Before, how you handle pressure, rejection, and power. There are moments in a man's life that reveal everything about who he truly is. Not the moments when things go right, but the ones when everything falls apart. The woman in front of you is not just watching how you move when you're calm. She is watching how you move when you're tested. She is watching the way you breathe when you're triggered, how you speak when you're rejected, how you speak when you're rejected, how you carry yourself when the world says a no. Because the truth is, any man can seem composed when life is easy. Any man can smile when he's winning. Any man can pretend to be spiritual when there's nothing challenging his ego. But she wants to know who you become when the fire starts. Do you explode? Collapse? Blame? Hide? Run? Or do you breathe? Do you stay? Do you rise? Because this is what she's really looking for. Not your status, not your charm, not your muscles, but your emotional backbone. Your ability to stand still inside the storm. A woman notices everything. And she notices most when you are under pressure. She watches your face when someone disrespects you, because power isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't fight to be seen. True power is still. It's quiet. It chooses its response instead of reacting like a wounded child. And rejection will reveal your deepest wounds. Because some men take rejection and turn it into resentment or complaint. They sulk, they lash out, they seek revenge, or they go numb and shut down. But the man who is anchored, the man who is grounded, the man who knows who he is, he doesn't collapse in the face of rejection. He doesn't make it about his worth. He doesn't chase, and he doesn't punish, and he doesn't punish. He honors the Eno. He learns from it. He remains open. He remains unshaken. And she sees that, because one of the most attractive things to a woman of depth is a man who does not let rejection steal his peace. A man who still walks like he's chosen, even when he's not being chosen. A man who holds his integrity even when he feels pain. And then there's power. Power is dangerous in the hands of a man who hasn't healed, because unhealed power turns into control. It turns into manipulation. It becomes dominance masked as leadership. It becomes fear disguised as strength. But true power, sacred power, is rooted in service. It protects. It uplifts. It does not need to prove itself. It simply is. And when a woman watches you rise into power, when you get a little status, a little success, a little attention from the world, she notices. Does he get louder? Does he become cruel? Does he need to dominate? Does he forget his heart? Or does he become more humble, more gentle, more present? Because she will never give her heart to a man whose soul gets smaller as his life gets bigger. She wants a man whose power comes from presence, not performance. Not performance. Hirosha. From service, not status. From self-awareness, not ego. So ask yourself, who am I when things don't go my way? Who am I when I'm not being praised? Who am I when I have the upper hand? Do I hold it with grace? Or with grace, or do I crush people with it because pressure will test you? Rejection will humble you, and power will reveal you. And she is watching it all, not because she's judging, but because she's deciding. Is this the kind of man I can trust with my heart, with my body, with my children? with my love. If your strength only shows when you're in control, but disappears when you're in pain, then it was never strength to begin with. The woman who knows herself will never submit to a man who loses himself when the world doesn't bow to him. So hold your ground. Be still in the fire. Let rejection refine you, and let power humble you. That's the man she will respect. That's the man she will trust. That's the man she will follow into the unknown. 5. The alignment between your words and your actions at the end of it all. A woman is not searching for the perfect man. She's searching for the real one. She's searching for the man whose words aren't sugar-coated illusions, but reflections of his truth. She's listening, not just to what you say, but to what you lie. Because she's heard enough promises. She's seen enough talk. She's watched too many men speak of love while moving like fear. Speak of commitment while dancing with chaos. Speak of truth while hiding behind half-hearted intentions. But the woman who is whole, the woman who has bled, healed and risen from her own fire, she doesn't trust words. She trusts alignment. She watches you say, I respect women. And then she watches how you speak to the waitress. You say, I want something real. And she watches how quickly you disappear when things get vulnerable. You say, you can trust me. And she watches how you handle honesty when it's inconvenient. Because the soul of a woman is a compass, and it always points to truth. She notices the gap between your language and your lifestyle. She feels the contradiction between your compliments and your character. And she cannot give her heart to a man who talks love, but moves in fear. Understand this. A man is only as trustworthy as the distance between his words and his behavior, because you may say all the right things, but if your life doesn't echo them, she will feel it. She will feel the hesitation in your spirit. She will feel the mask behind your performance. She will feel that something is missing, and she will not stay where there is no wholeness, because a woman doesn't want a man who knows the script. She wants a man who embodies the truth. When you say you're cool, do you? When you say you're cool, do you? When you say you're honest, are you? When you say you want connection, do your actions nurture it, or do they sabotage it? The man who moves with integrity doesn't need to convince her. His consistency speaks louder than his compliments. His discipline speaks louder than his desire. His follow-through speaks louder than any promise he makes. Because when your actions and your words merge into one, you become rare. You become safe. You become a man she can build with, not just flirt with. She doesn't want a man who sounds right in the beginning. She wants a man who remains right in the middle, and even more so at the end. She wants to see if your truth still stands when you're angry, if your honor still holds when you're tempted, if your kindness still lives when she's no longer easy to love. This is the test. Not if you can charm her when she's shining, but if you can respect her when she's raw. Not if you can say, I love you, but if you can prove it in the quiet, thankless, ordinary moments. Do I walk the path I preach? Do I offer her a vision that my life can actually uphold? Because the woman who values herself will not trade her peace for potential. She won't be hypnotized by empty poetry. She won't be seduced by style, such substance. She won't fall for promises. She will fall for proof. And if she can trust that who you are in private matches, who present in public, then you won't just capture her heart. You will keep it. Not through manipulation, not through force, but through truth lived consistently. Because the greatest love she'll ever give will not be given to the man who says all the right things, but to the man who lives a life that makes those things real. Conclusion. So now you know, she's not just looking, she's there. She's sensing, discerning, discerning, watching with eyes you cannot see, and listening with a heart that's been through wars and still knows how to recognize truth when it stands before her. You thought it was about the words you chose, the way you dressed, the game you played. But it was never about the surface. It was about the substance. It was about the way your eyes told the story you never spoke. It was about the energy you carried when you said nothing at all. It was about whether your presence gave her spirit permission to bloom. It was about the way you held yourself in moments of loss, anger, failure, power. And it was about whether your truth was a song you just sang or a life you actually lived. She notices the invisible, the subtle, sacred. She notices the cracks in your voice when you lie. She notices the tension in your shoulders when you're afraid. She notices the softness in your tone when your heart is real. She notices the little things because the little things are everything to her. So if you ever ask yourself, what does a woman notice? First, the answer is simple. She notices your soul, even when you don't. And so the challenge is no longer, can I impress her? The real question is, can I become the kind of man who lives in truth, breathes with presence, moves with integrity, and carries so much peace within that she feels like she's come home before a single word is even spoken? Because when you become that man, you won't need to chase. You won't need to prove. You won't need to pretend. Your presence will speak. Your stillness will attract. Your life will be the message. And she will notice. And never forget